particular segment for a couple of reasons. One, because it brings the dad out in me, especially when I see people wearing all black at night or early in the morning when, it's still dark out. But two, I have a personal connection to this because my oldest daughter in her senior year of college got hit by a car doing 20 miles an hour at dusk. Fortunately, she survived, but she ended up with permanent back damage, and which basically means she's going to be in, some kind of pain for the rest of her life. So, being safe is something that's at night or early in the morning when it's dark is near and dear to my heart. So, so how can you keep yourself safe? Well, there's three main things that you can do to keep yourself safe. One, either wearing something that's reflective, wearing something that's bright, or you wear lights of some kind. So let's start with wearing something bright. And this is wearing something, and everybody who's run with me knows that I'm always wearing something bright, even in the daytime. So here is a Champion pullover. It's basically a neon green, which is great. Just love stuff by Champion. It's affordable. It's usually, may not be the highest quality, but it's good quality. And you can find it in a lot of stores. Now, this particular thing is also advertised as being reflective. And you'll see a lot of garments advertised as being reflective, but this green material is not reflective. What they're referring to as being reflective is this little emblem, this C right here. That's the reflective. So when you're buying a garment that's advertised as being reflective, you want to pay attention to that part and check to see what this is being reflective, because this part really doesn't reflect very well. It wears out over time, and it will fade. The bright part, still helpful when it's at dark, when the lights, when the headlights come on. But you really have to be concerned with labels in products and what's actually being reflective. So let's step back a little bit. So why do you want to actually, be aware of stuff? Especially if you're on the roads and running around, everything has street lights on. And street lights are great, but if you're wearing dark clothing, you are going to blend into the background. If you're, plus drivers, we all know that there's a big issue with distracted drivers these days. Insurance rates have been going up the last few years because of distracted drivers causing lots of accidents. So you can't count on anybody seeing you, even with streetlights on, if you're not wearing the proper clothing, okay? So you always want to bring attention to yourself whenever you're running, whether if it's at night, at dusk or dawn, when the light is starting to come up. And those can present some of the most challenging situations. Or, even during the daytime, I always wear something bright. And even if it's on a protected path. So, there's a dedicated path, going by Jones Beach for all the Long Islanders here. I still wear something bright because that path is also used by bicycle riders. These people, will be going much faster than you, 15 to 25 miles an hour. And they also have their distracted issues because they often have bike computers on there if they're serious riders, and they're checking on their watts, how fast they're going, what their cadence they're going. So they're not necessarily always paying 100% attention to the path. So you need to, when they do look up, you need to be wearing something bright so you stand out. And that's why I'm always wearing, something bright, and attention getting. on those days. So besides the reflective and the bright, why else would you, what else can you do? Well, you can be wearing lights, and a lot of the running lights are particularly good. I brought a couple with me. You've got things by Nathan, which makes lots of running accessories. They have this little tab here that you can click on. It also almost always all lights have some kind of mode for blinking. That's really great. The blinking is really good because it draws other attention to you, makes you really stand out. What will not necessarily make you stand out is a headlamp, which is great for you to see your path, but it's not necessarily going to draw attention to you if you're running on the road, mostly because if you have cars behind you, that headlamp, that white light is going to be lost in the lights of any car behind you. So anytime where you can wearing something that's blinking is really good. There's another product that I have here, which I think is outstanding. It's a wraparound light. You just slap it on your wrist and you turn it on. What's really good about this is that people can see you both in front of you and behind you. Whereas something like this Nathan, which you may click on here, is only going to be seen by people in front of you. So, something like this is terrific because it brings you basically 360 degrees visibility for anybody around you. The only downside to these lights is that they run on batteries. So if you want to get them, and they're typically, the flat small batteries, not the AAA or AA batteries, you're going to want to get rechargeable batteries because these type of lights go through them fairly quickly, and basically buying a pair can run you anywhere from like $4 to $6. So they're quite expensive. So invest in getting, lithium ion rechargeable batteries and the charger. They'll pay back within 2 or 3 times of charging for those batteries. Okay. One other light that I particularly like, or actually let me go to another topic, and that's biking. So for biking, most people are familiar with, having a headlight in front and a blinking red light in the back. That's terrific. What I would also recommend adding on to you is getting a helmet mounted light like this. This actually has both a front headlight and then a back red blinking light for this, for 2 reasons. One, it adds a little redundancy to this. So if the headlight mounted on your bike fails, you have this as a backup. The second reason is, and I found this out from biking on Jones Beach, is that when you're approaching curves, you're looking ahead farther than the bike, than the bike mounted light. And as you're going around a curve, your bike mounted light will be pointing one way, but your helmet and your head, your line of sight, is looking at another. Having that helmet mounted light actually lets you point a light to where your head is looking. So it's terrific in that aspect. And going back to a further point that I made earlier, even when you're on a protected path that's shared by both bikers and riders, again, at night, the bikers are going to be doing anywhere from 15 to 25 miles an hour. So your field of vision is reduced that much more at night, and your reaction time is, gives you very little time to react. So it's really important to have something that's bright, that can see forward, that can see in any direction that you want to, so that you can both be visible to people who are coming to your direction, and so that you can see them. And that being visible is even the bigger point from that, because you can see a biker coming to you with a light much farther than that light can project that is mounted on your bike or on your helmet. Okay. Also, all of these bikes, all these helmet mounted lights, and all the lights that are mounted on your bike comes with several modes. So whether it's a bright light or a lesser light or blinking, they're all there. And I find the blinking is especially useful during dusk and dawn, because it's not dark enough really for the steady light to really have an effect. Plus, you don't really need it. You can see where you're going. But again, you want to be seen, because again, two bikers coming at you, if you're both going 20 miles per hour, then collectively you're approaching an object at 40 miles an hour. So, think about that. Think about your reaction time. 40 miles an hour, especially if you have something with limited visibility where you have lots of curves, you need as much warning time as possible to react to that other biker. Okay. And so that's basically a lot of the lights that I want to talk about. There's one other reason to be visible and bright, especially for the women, is that in a survey of Runner's World readers, they noted that 84% of women experience harassment of some kind. And the police have suggested this also, and all security actors, is that you can reduce the incidence. I'm not going to say it's going to eliminate the incidence of harassment, but you can reduce some of the harassment if you're wearing something bright and visible, especially at night. A potential attacker may not be or potential harasser may not be as inclined to harass you if you're wearing something bright, and that, if you want to protest, can make both that interaction even more noticeable to any bystanders who see that. So, one other reason, and I would just follow up with one more reason, in that you always see, utility crews wearing something bright and also reflective, even during the daytime. And there's a very good reason for that, is that, it works. It cuts down on the number of accidents and the number of injuries. So wear all that bright stuff, even during the daytime. So that's about it for my dad talk for today. So any questions? Yeah, so Danielle, yeah, I've seen the Knox gear. I've actually used it myself. The one thing that I will note about the Knox gear is that the light tends to wear out after a while. So it seems like and I'm not talking about the battery that powers it, but actually, the material that's within the Knox gear, it's really highly visible when you first get it, but it seems to wear out about 2 years in. So
might not use it enough then, because mine actually is still pretty bright.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and I like too that it's got the USB charging.
Right. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. Now maybe it was just because I bought mine about 4 years ago when it was introduced. So maybe they've upgraded the materials since then. But that's what I noticed about my set. So, but yeah, it is an excellent product because it is really visible. It does the blinking. It's in the front and the back, and it's very lightweight. So
yeah, I have it for the dog too, because then the dog thinks too.
Yeah. To me, it's amazing when I go out running. The amazing thing to me is how many people wear black at night. I know it looks really good, but it's basically wearing camouflage, so I've never quite understood that. Yes, Hillary?
So what you're recommending is throw out your wardrobe and buy all new?
You don't have to buy all new. Even if you're wearing black, if you wear something like the Knox gear, something reflective, you can still wear that, but people who wear all black with nothing reflective, no lights, they're just inviting trouble. And I've even had bikers on the Jones Peach Trail, go out with anything. So, to me, that's basically, they're a menace in my view, because, they're dark, you can't see them coming. They can probably see me, but I can't see them. And they're coming at me at, 15 to 20 miles an hour. So they're a real problem. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, I'm in the middle of writing something. I guess I can say it rather than writing it. Okay, so if you had to choose only one item to wear, the bright color, whether it's, something around your wrist or a cap or something on your shoes, there's reflective lights on your shoes or strips on your jacket or the pullover, which one would you recommend the most?
I would probably recommend the thing that has, if you're going to do a light, then I would go for either the Knox gear or, this wrist one thing, because again, it does front and back. If you're going, the general rule of thumb is the more visibility, the better. So if you're going to choose something that's reflective and that's all you want to go with, then I would say a reflective vest, which are inexpensive. Almost all the vests are front and back, plus they have bright colors to them. So, they do both, but generally speaking, I usually have some kind of combination of the two. So I might be wearing a bright colored jacket, combined with lights, especially as conditions change. So when I went for a 4-mile run this morning, it was dark when I was first went out, but by the time I finished, the sun was starting to rise and it was dusk. So at that point, the lights become less effective, and wearing something that's bright becomes more important. So I would go with the combination.
Okay, no, great feedback. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the feedback too. Like bright colors are one thing, but sometimes they sell them that they're reflective, but then they only have like a tiny little part that has like a reflective part on it that you have to be careful of like what you're buying and how much reflection is actually on it.
Yeah. That's one of the first things I learned was I thought, that the reflective material was woven throughout, the sweater or the jacket that I was buying. And that was really it's usually just the logo that's made of reflective material, not surprisingly. Maybe a couple of other small strips, but it's not a lot. So, and I wouldn't even count on, most shoes, running sneakers have some reflective material in them. But again, it's not much. And it works best when the shoes are brand new. After a while, it wears off. Okay. Anything else? Bill, I like your donuts background.
My mouth is watering.
Thanks. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I was actually looking for
Same.
PJ. I was looking for PJ's ribs, but I couldn't find them.
Is that crispy?
It's just Google search.
He's got dozens of donut backgrounds. Don't let him fool you.
Anything else about running or riding in the dark? All right,
Ray,
well,
Ray,
Oh,
I had a
Yeah,
question. Ray, I had audio problems when I first got on, so I don't know if you covered this, but I used to have this blinking red light that I could attach to my chest. And I found it had two effects. So I used to live in Forest Hills, so I'd be running against traffic on Forest Hills in the rush hour, Queens Boulevard. And what I found, the light would actually freeze the runners because as a driver, you train when you see a flashing red light to slow down or stop. And I noticed they saw me better and they reacted better. And I kind of like I felt powerful with it, to be honest with you. So I was like,
Yeah,
forcing
and that's
traffic.
why, yeah, and if you're gonna be going with these, like these small Nathan lights, which are
Yeah, it looks like
pretty
what I have, yeah.
popular. I usually put one in front and one in back. Because, if you're running against the traffic like you should, that one in front is perfect. But then if you have to cross the street, then you're running with the traffic and then they can't see that light anymore. So then you need the light in the back or, on your sides, in your hip pockets, something like that. So to make it front and back. So, that's why I usually carry two lights with me.
Can I just throw something in from the driver's perspective?
Yeah.
So when I worked in the city, I used to take the 525 train. So I'd be going up Bell Boulevard at 5 o'clock. And I knew there were certain runners who were generally out. And sometimes I'd be looking for them and I still didn't see them till I was like approaching because again, black on black. And It just amazed me that I know they're there and I can't see them. How about the person who doesn't know and probably could care less on top of it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's scary. And I always wanted to pull over and say, you should see what it looks like from my point of view.
Right.
Maybe you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, again, it's always, I've seen the same thing. It always amazes me, the number of people who are wearing dark clothing at night or on the bike trail, riding a bike at night without lights, reflective, anything. It's mind-boggling, but people do that.
so is it the neon bright or is it, can you just wear white? Like the other day, Danielle and Sharon were wearing white vests.
The white is certainly good. It's certainly better than dark. But I prefer colors, just because it tends to stick out some more, than white. I do have a white jacket that has some small reflective strips on it, but still, I wear, especially if I'm running or riding, I'll still wear lights, especially blinking. The white is fine, during the day. But
It doesn't have any,
again,
I thought it had reflective on it too, and I guess it doesn't.
well, you might want to just shine a flashlight, turn the lights off when it gets night, just to test it. Because again, until I tested the specific product that I bought a few years ago that said it was reflective, again, the only thing that was reflective was a little small thing, and that was it. So
Yeah, I walk at night a lot, so I never really realized like how not safe it was until like it started getting darker at 4. Like you just
yeah.
never really think about, you go for your walk at 4 o'clock and you're like, it's dark now. I mean,
right.
it goes away soon, but yeah, I had to upgrade a bunch of our things because otherwise, especially with the dogs and stuff like that, you want to protect everybody in your crew.
Mhm. Yeah, even if you're walking on the sidewalk, people are pulling in and out of their driveways all the time. So, it doesn't hurt to have something that's either bright or reflective, even if you're sticking to the sidewalk.
Have you ever run with a miner's hat?
You mean the headlamp?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't used that, at least not yet. But because almost everywhere that I've run, it's been on a street. So there's been some street lights, and whenever I've run on trails, it's been on during the day. So I haven't needed a headlamp like that. But I'm sure there's other members of our group who have used that. I'm sure, Ime has.
Yeah, some of the night races, if you're doing a midnight run or, yeah, they require, you can't be in the race unless you prove that you have a headlamp or a light that will help you guide you, because they want the runners to be able to see in front of them, not trip over stones or twigs or, so in some races, I'm thinking about midnight runs, New Year's Eve, they do require that. That is a requirement.
I could have used it at the New York City Marathon.
By waking up early or
No,
Finishing in the dark.
finishing in the dark.
Start until, yes, they had late
You don't
start.
start until
They
noon,
staggered. They
right?
staggered people, yes.
pitch black when you finish.
Ironman can be like that too. And some of the courses I've raced on, it's very dark. And this year, I didn't use a headlamp because I've used headlamps, but I also wear a visor, and the headlamp won't shine past the brim on the visor. So it's a waste of time. So I bought something somebody recommended, a clip light. So I can clip that right to the end of the visor. And then that way I still have the light so I can see. It's not really so other people can see me, and so I can see where I'm going.
It's a good point.
Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Well, thank you, Ray. This was great. This was very good. And I think everybody should listen to it. And I'm going to encourage people who have not been here to listen to the webinar, because this really is important.
Well,
So-
they might have to have me going after them, making my dad comments,
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
And thank you all for coming on board. Next week, I will be the facilitator, and I'll be talking about the A, B, and C races, like how to determine them, how to plan your schedule, and then how to do periodization, whereas how to plan out your own schedules for the year. So hopefully you'll join me next week. Bye, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Hi,
Thank
thanks.
you, Ray.
Thank you.